Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to tonight's show. It's your boy G. We've got a pretty good one today. Big story tonight is going to be Tesla. But I hope you guys are having a great evening, a great day in the market. So I just wanted, this video is going to be more on kind of recap, summary of what's been going on with Tesla stock. And then we'll take a look at the chart at the end. But this will be a great video to kind of summarize just the insane sell-off that's been happening over the last 2-3 weeks. So if you guys appreciate the video, make sure to hit the like button for me. Greatly appreciate that. And let's get to it. Tesla, obviously, so the SPY is down a little under about 0.5%, but the big story, like I said, is Tesla. It's down almost 12% today, $14. And then it's actually down a little more after hours as well. So overall, the big thing is volume. You have 200 million volume. On average, this has 96 million. So very big sell-off today, or just a big amount of volume being sold. And this kind of brings the question if maybe they, obviously Elon's one of the big stories is he's been dumping a lot of shares and all this stuff related to Twitter. But another thing that people have been talking about is possibly a margin call, or a lot of people getting margin calls. Because you got to think about back in 2020, 2021, a lot of people, they got a lot of cash on hand. They were actually buying stuff with leverage. So now that the price is basically coming down, some margin calls might be happening. And so some people could have to, are forced to sell basically. Now this is basically like a piggy bank for a lot of people. Tesla obviously had a huge return for people, so a lot of people held Tesla shares. A lot of their wealth is in Tesla. So if these margin calls are true, and then maybe then this is part of the reason that we are seeing this aggressive sell-off in it. But let's start off with Tesla being possibly one of the worst performing stocks of 2022. And we don't want to take that lightly, but since Elon started purchasing Twitter, shares of Tesla have dropped 45%. And year to date, since January, the stock is down 65%. And this article came out earlier, so I believe this is closer to like 70, maybe 75. So big sell-off there over a year to 2022. There's still a lot of uncertainty, right? Instead of the uncertainty with whether it's Elon Musk doing the sell-off, he actually didn't take any responsibility with this, which is a little upsetting, right? Instead of simply, saying, hey, I sold $40 billion of stock, obviously that's why we are coming down. He actually, and I talked about this in our last stream, he's talking about the bank savings interest rates and blaming everything over to the Fed and not really taking any responsibility for some of the bigger drops, right? I think some of the sell-off is most likely started with Elon dumping shares to meet those funds for Twitter, and then he's kind of pushing that to the side and blaming it on interest rates. So there was actually some conversation, some discussion about if that's so, if that's true, and the reason Tesla's fallen off a cliff is because interest rates. There's fund managers asking, well, that doesn't really make sense, right? Because Tesla is down since closing Twitter deal. Tesla's down about 38%, and the Nasdaq, I don't think this is accurate, it's only down 1%. I think we're down a lot more, but it's nowhere near 38% or the 65% and stuff, right? Like I said, he already sold $40 billion worth of Tesla stock since last year, so that's going to definitely put a lot of selling pressure. And then if you add some of those margin calls, that could be a thing, then you're adding more selling pressure. So just a lot of negative catalysts in the last few months. So just pretty interesting. One thing I want to point out is Tesla prices have been going up all year, but now Tesla's actually offering a $7,500 discount on two of their models, the Model 3 and the Model Y. Now, this is actually very interesting because what is that telling us? Possibly there's not that much demand, or he's forecasting outlook of slower demand. So a lot of these elevated prices on Teslas, they're on average about 61, 75K. They're offering these discounts because it could be preparing themselves for a slower, softer economy. So I thought that was very interesting. On top of raising the prices all year, towards the end of the year, now they're going to start offering these discounts because I do think they see these headwinds coming up in just a few days, actually, because we have, well, next year, right? Just a few days until 2023. So I do think there are some bullish things that could come out of, I mean, a few things that could help the stock. And that first thing is going to really be Elon focusing himself back into Tesla, because I think Twitter's like really taking a lot of his time. So if he resigns off Twitter and just focuses more on Tesla, then that could kind of soften the blow on the price. There also, I mean, it would also kind of help him focus more on, you know, what's the goal for Tesla, because Twitter's not even a publicly traded company at this point. So I know he has to get that stuff squared away, but the shareholder, I don't even know, there's no shareholders for that, for Twitter, right? So Tesla shareholders are really upset about the whole Twitter's shenanigans and stuff. And so I'm actually going to pivot over to a tinfoil kind of thing for Twitter and stuff. And this is based off of a survey. So why is Tesla's stock tanking? This is going to add a little bit of tinfoil, a little bit of politics and stuff. So on top of competition catching up, significant price increases, right? So early this whole year, price increases. Tesla may be at risk at losing its crown in the electric market. So obviously competition for GM, Rivian, Polestar, some of these other ones are stepping in. And so that's definitely one thing that is definitely taking some market share and just adding pressure to some of this growth story that Tesla is. But what I want to say more on the tinfoil, more politics stuff, there was actually a survey conducted, and it was kind of explaining about Americans being extremely pessimistic about government and civil liberties. The survey results show 64% of American adults feel their rights are under attack. 70% of these respondents state they do not believe the government cares about them, and then 45% claim they do not feel protected by American law. So another staggering 38% said that the state in the U.S. that they may consider moving to would be in a different country, while 40% might just say that the political climate in their state made them consider moving to another state. So there's a lot of different politics going on, right, from like the country's perspective. And so the thing that's really hurting Elon is he's one of these guys that is trying to disrupt some of this and be an outspoken and kind of give some freedom back to people, right? Which is always a good thing. But a lot of these more hierarchy, the rich, the wealthy, they don't want this, right? They want to be able to censorship people. And so now basically I think a lot of people are flipping on Elon Musk. So one way that they can hurt Elon Musk and kind of, you know, shut him down and just keep him quiet is by hurting the stock. So that's another reason that a lot of people are kind of getting away from Elon. Just they don't want anything related to Tesla or Elon. So they've been selling maybe some of their shares. They've been selling their cars. They're, you know, taking alternative market like direction in an EV instead of getting the Tesla. Now they might be doing the Ford or something, right? So I do think a lot of the politics that's going on with Elon Musk and the Democrats and Republicans and everything just upsetting the established order, that's definitely I would say affecting the stock price as well. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. One of the most outspoken critics of the present administration has been Tesla CEO Elon Musk. So leading figures from massive companies and large corporations are also worried about the future of the US, Tesla being one of them, but has made him a target. In a typical Musk way, he always responded to the coordinated attacks against him from major Democratic politicians, which infuriated the left-leaning consumers even more. So just after like basically taking a side, some people just don't want to be associated to Elon, and like I said, they'll rather sell their car, they'll rather sell their shares, and then they might even, not the same people, but there's also like the hierarchy, the big money wealth, they'll just attack the stock, right? So they could just be shorting it and stuff. So several other Democratic politicians attacked me too, all around the same time. So yeah, there's a lot of money and a lot of power, and that can definitely affect the stock price, in my opinion. So that's just a little bit of what I think on the politician side. Let's go back a little bit more to the stock price and the market and the competition. Competition in the EV sector has increased significantly in the past years. Like I said, Polestar, Ford, even Audi has, BMW has electric vehicles. So at the same time, Tesla has been able to keep up with NIO and Baidu, but yeah, there's a lot of competition coming, a lot of rivals. So it's no longer as easy as it was, right? So it wasn't like the unicorn of the market. Now you can actually invest in other companies. So, for example, Polestar is a public company you can invest in. Ford's always been one. And then obviously Rivian, which Lucid, and some of these other ones. So it's not like the luxury of Tesla that it had once across the US and they just dominated everything. So consumers are moving away from Elon Musk's company due to the availability of more affordable alternatives. And one that's not even listed on here is Kia. Kia has an electric vehicle too, and I think they're doing pretty good with that as far as marketing and stuff. I see that thing a lot. Is it so? What's up, G-Lad? Hey, I thought the stock and hold above 113. Brother, I think it's like under 110 now, 107. So we'll look at the chart in a bit. Just kind of giving a quick summary of just what's been going on the last few weeks. And obviously I was adding, yeah, so on average about 60K a vehicle. So this is something interesting. Aside from like the politics kind of affecting Elon, like if we are going into a slower demand, there's going to be a lot of supply. And so at that point, people might just wait to buy a car so there's gonna be people that can't no longer afford to buy a new car, but those that are gonna be able to afford a car, they might just wait, right? Because maybe halfway through 2023 there might be less demand, a little more supply, so people will be able to get some of these cars like cheap on the dollar. So why spend about 61K when maybe you can get it for like 50K, 45K or something like that, right? Once demand starts softening, coming down, same supply is out there, people need to get rid of this inventory, so they'll start taking a loss. And that's the same thing with Tesla. I think that's another reason that they may have stopped production, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if they're stopping some production due to some of the lockdowns and stuff, but I think there's more to it. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So I think that's about what I had on some of this tinfoil hat stuff here. But let's go back to the stock price. Stock is headed for its worst month, quarter, and year on record. Let me quickly read this comment. Tesla is much better than competition. It's comparing apples to oranges. That's true. That's true. No, obviously, no. The technology's obviously there. Tesla is far ahead. We're talking about just the stock price and I think valuation. Do I think there will be a Tesla rally in the coming days? There possibly could be. I think we have to look at some of the key levels to see how they respond, but we'll look at charts in just a second. Let me just quickly run through some of this other stuff if I haven't already spoke about this. No, but yeah, let me just double down. I do think Tesla's technology, I think that's far ahead above anything, right? Other than Lucid's battery, which is like 500 range, Tesla is like just technology and just the research and miles that they have. I mean, it's far ahead of everything else. So I won't argue with that. I think we're just talking about just the stock price and just valuation, right? So let me go back to, yeah, let me just go back to, so at this market cap, obviously we've came down. So let's just talk about when we were at like $200. When we were at $200, the market cap was basically 700 billion, right? For a company that's only bringing in financially, let's just go to the financials really quick. Sorry if I'm taking too much time, but just want to kind of explain. I think that the technology and the growth story is there. It's just at what price now, right? You can't start paying forward price to earnings, not in this type of economy, right? So that's what we're saying. Tesla's coming down to a more fair, realistic pricing, right? Where is its 12-year statement? Yeah, so in the last 12 months, Tesla has a revenue of 74 billion, right? The company is worth right now 388 billion market cap. That's just because of this recent sell-off, right? We were trading at like $200 like maybe a month or two ago. So that market cap would have been doubled. It would have been a $700 billion market cap, bringing in only about a tenth of that revenue, right? Is that right? Yeah. So that's all we're saying. I think from the stock, I think that the stock is overvalued, but I think the technology. So I think the technology is great. I think the cars are great and everything, but I just think the valuation, right? So I'm sure you guys I've talked about the loophole that Elon basically did for like 2 different rounds. Basically, Tesla got to a stock price, then he did a stock split, and then people from outside the US that can't buy partial or fractional shares, they were able to buy in, so it opened the gates to more investors, and then that was able to get Tesla running again to high elevated prices. And then after that, Elon did another split, so now more people were able to buy back in at quotationally cheaper prices, right? Because Tesla stock was back down to like $300, $400, or $100, I can't remember. So that was just in the back end. Elon was just making tons of like wealth because the stock kept going up and up, and that's how we got to like a 1 trillion market cap, basically bringing in only about $74 billion, right? So that was kind of like just a system. I think that the background kind of, it was opening the door for more investors, but they weren't really evaluating the stock accordingly. They were pricing in a lot of growth. So I don't know, that's just my thoughts though. Yes, the reason Tesla's down, yeah, and we're gonna get to that in just a second. I was gonna kind of do a quick recap on some stuff really quick. So multiple outlets reported fresh challenges for Tesla production in mainland China. Automaker struggles to attract buyers in China and North America. So there's more to the story, I think. Obviously, we've already talked about Elon and so much time spent on Twitter, but let's talk about some of the, if I can get to it, some of the stuff that's going on with China. I might not be able to find it. I just had it. I might need to go to... Sorry, I prepared myself pretty good, but I just lost my article. Okay, let me just restart. Is it this one? Is it this one? It is this one. Yeah, Tesla's crashes 11%. NIO drops 8% on outlook cut. And so that's another reason that could be happening here. So Tesla's dropped 40% year to date. Stock is down 69%. All memes aside there. But yeah, like Gilad is saying, production on Shanghai production Saturday was halted, and they actually continue or plan to have productions early January too. So they've already previously planned to halt production for about 8 days. But they do have some facing COVID. Ooh, I can't say that word on here. But there's more of this infections and stuff. So people are expecting more lockdowns in January. In addition, Tesla's also planning to reduce output at Giga Shanghai in January. So that's the main thing focusing on Tesla. They basically suspended production. And in my opinion, if they're suspending production, it could be because of the infections and lockdowns and stuff, but also it could be that maybe demand is starting to slow down. And one way that we can kind of confirm that is because NIO actually started sliding on their outlook cuts, right? Now, before we get into NIO, let me just kind of give you guys some dates. So Tesla will have production lines operating from January 3rd to the 19th, and then from the 20th to the 31st, they will be halted basically for an extended break for China New Year's. So just downtime. And this is actually pretty crazy because Tesla doesn't really do any production halts. In fact, they actually try to do double shifts, and on the contrary, they try to do double shifts, third shifts, or whatever to get their production numbers and meet deliveries and stuff. But now they're okay shutting down productions and stuff. So I don't know if maybe demand's starting to slow down, or is Elon seeing something, or maybe he's not focused on the company. Tesla did not give a reason for the reduced production plan in January. However, like other automakers, Tesla has faced demand issues in China and has had to resort to tactics like price cuts and insurance incentives to increase sales. So there it goes again back to the demand. Like this is the big question, or the big word here, demand. In addition, I can't say that word again. Disruptions and is a new factor to add. Yeah, so just this thing right here is disrupting the entire China outlook. Now, there were talks about China reopening today, so there were stocks that did perform well, like casino stocks, some tech stocks, but for some of these, surprisingly, they didn't take it well, and that's because NIO is going to cut their outlook. So I think some of the numbers is pretty big. They're cutting it to 38,000 to 3,900 from 43 to 48. So if you guys do the math with that, I think it's like 15 or 20%. Let me do the math really quick. It's 11%, about 11% outlook cut. So that's pretty big. So that was one of the reasons NIO actually came down today, about 8%. They also did have that NIO day, which I thought was going to be a bullish catalyst and stuff, but that outlook is going to just outweigh any sort of models or technology and stuff, because this is basically forecasting all of next year and stuff, right? So that is also going to affect Tesla. Like I said, we go back up here to Tesla facing demand challenges in China, and basically if NIO's having trouble, which is the leader or just the big dog in China, then Tesla's definitely going to have trouble too, I think. And so on top of the Shanghai lockdowns and stuff and the production halts, they're also being affected, I think, a little bit, kind of bleeding off into from NIO into Tesla because of this. The reason Tesla's down today, yeah, temp close of the factory in China due to COVID. You're missing the point. Everyone wants Tesla. It's the brand for electric cars. These days, it's extremely hard to predict the markets. No, that's true. One thing I was saying earlier was just going back to politics and stuff, right? So there was like a survey and stuff, and Elon's been outspoken on some of this freedom and censorship and stuff, and I think that's good. But the rich and wealthy people, they don't like this upsetting the established order and stuff. And so a lot of people are turning on Elon, and one way they can turn on him is by hurting the stock, hurting his, because you got to think Elon's wealth is tied up in Tesla shares. All like he gets paid in Tesla shares, right? So on top of Tesla stock price itself being like overvalued, like 388 billion, Elon's wealth is tied up in there, right? So when the stock comes down, then they're actually hurting Elon, right? So it also hurts the shareholders, is what I'm saying. I know, I think the product is great and stuff, and trust me, once it comes down to like more reasonable prices and stuff, I'll definitely be buying some shares. But I do think it has some, and we'll look at the charts, promise you. We'll look at the charts in just a bit, because I do think it has some ways to go. But yeah, what my main point here with this one is they don't want the established order. I think they're trying to hurt him. They don't want censorship to be lifted, or they like being corrupt and stuff, right? Which and so some people, like the wealthy and stuff, either they'll short the stock or whatever, but then there's also people that really just don't agree, like regular retail investors that don't agree with Elon and stuff, right? And it could be like older people, boomers, or even some of the Tesla cult. They might just not agree with Elon at this point, or think some of the stuff he's doing is outrageous and just don't want to associate with him. So they'll actually just sell their Tesla or just sell out or whatever. So it's not that the technology is not great. I think everybody wants a Tesla, but it's more of a politician side thing at this point. Some people just don't want to even be related to Elon or support his products, right? If he's being like this outspoken or crazy and stuff, right? And the other thing, like I was saying, is like obviously the technology is good, but they do have all the other alternatives now. So it's not like Tesla is the only electric car that they can get. So, but yeah, you bring up good points. The technology is definitely there. It's one of the best, right? So let's not get that wrong. Oh, I think I just closed one of my good articles. I might be able to bring it back. It might not be worth. Oh, I know what it was. It was just basically an article talking about Tesla's share price being oversold. So that's where the bullish thesis comes in, right? And I do think we could see a rally soon, just because the RSI is like got into an insane level. I might have to look it up for you guys. Tesla RSI oversold. I think that was the article it was called. Yeah. Tesla is the most oversold it has ever been in basically 4 years as a stock. Ooh, I don't have the article stuff, so I can't pull it up. So definitely there is like a sigh of relief, but there's a lot of pressure, right? And that comes from possibly just people like trying to unassociate themselves with Elon, and then also short sellers, and then also margin calls. I think a lot of people are talking about margin calls. Like I was saying, 2020, 2021, a lot of people had money. They were able to leverage a lot of that money, and they were just bullish on, it was just a buy and get rich kind of thing. So people were just putting tons of money into stocks. And so now that stocks are, reversing, some of these people's margins are getting triggered. It could be, right? So there's like a lot of down pressure right now. But let me show you guys. Yeah, it's been oversold the most. I guess that's the main thing. I won't share the article. Let's go to the stocks price and stuff. I will say a lot of, so let me go, before we talk about Tesla shares, let's talk about SPY real quick, because I think, so Tesla is in the S&P 500. So let's just say if the SPY can have a nice green day, then Tesla might be able to suppress some of those losses from continuing to get worse, right? So I think the good thing is SPY is kind of consolidating. You got a resistance here, a support here. It's basically consolidating, right? We had a huge drop. This is on the one hour. We had a huge drop. Now we're basically consolidating. So I do think tomorrow will be a big day as far as the SPY in general. If the SPY can go up to new highs, so basically today we couldn't break yesterday's high or Friday's highs. This is Friday here. This was the highs of Friday. Today we couldn't get above that. So we definitely will be looking for the previous high here for a breakout there. And if you can get back above that, then we could see our next consolidation resistance here around 385. But my point here is I think we'll have a big day tomorrow. And if the market is green, then I think that will short-term stop some of the bleeding that's coming on Tesla right now. And also, I think tomorrow we have like home sales and stuff. So that's another catalyst besides the technicals, right? So this is like a technical thing, consolidation. But unrelated to the technicals, it kind of lines up to a catalyst tomorrow, which could be the data for houses and stuff. So we could definitely break up or break down, of course, right? But if you're a Tesla bull, I would think you want the SPY to hold up, break to the upside, and that might like put like a band-aid on some of the selling happening with Tesla. So let's talk about Tesla now. And this is a dirty chart because really it's been insane. I think the last time we talked about it on stream was up here. We basically had this ascending support and we were trying to get above this downtrend resistance. And you can see that downtrend resistance is actually still in effect. So I'm just going to basically extend it out a little bit more. So technically we're still bearish. Once we broke our support up here, this ascending support, sharp sell-off, it tried to get back above our resistance support here about 125. And you can see it basically, so fell underneath, tried to get back above, it couldn't get back. And so now it's basically going down in layers. So the reason, or how I got some of these levels is from our previous history back here. And really, I think the best lines are going to be from the weekly. So let me see if I can find the weeklies. I normally don't have this many supports and stuff, but Tesla right now has just been on a downtrend. So the levels I'm going to have is going to definitely be like 100. I think this area consolidation here is important, but I think the level 100 is just psychologically important. If we break 100, then you're most likely coming down to like 92, 93. And then after that, it's going to get pretty nasty because we have a gap fill down here, which is around this area here, about 80, 85, 81 to 84. That's going to be something to watch for sure. But I think starting off at this point, 100 is probably our big support. I think after hours is at 107. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just open up at 105, honestly. I'm going to get rid of some of these. But let me go back to the daily and you guys can see, we'll just rechart some of the stuff that matters. So on the daily, this is basically our support right here, 92, 93, which we talked about a little bit. There, why can't I get my thing to pull up? Okay, there we go. So this area right here is a consolidation area. Right here, 110 to 91. but I'm also going to add the psychological support, right, of like 100 basically. So I would definitely add that. And then we have the gap fills down here, which we were talking about. So area consolidation is here, and we talked about a little bit of areas consolidation. We talked about that up here as well. All right, but now we got to talk about the gap that we have here, 81. So this is the gap fill that we're talking about there. And right now, I think these are the main 3 levels to watch, like 100, 93. To the upside, I would be watching a retouch of like 125. Let me read some comments though. Gillette, I think I missed a couple things. I do think Tesla's oversold. Yes, I don't have the RSI indicator on here, but from the article that I was reading, yeah, it's been like oversold. It's like the biggest sell-off in like, I don't know how long. Elon is damaging Tesla's brand, in my opinion. Yeah, and should step down as CEO, and he would be exactly. Yeah, I think that would actually be a very bullish catalyst for Tesla. I think that would actually maybe start a short-term rally, because all the controversy that comes with Elon won't be associated to the actual stock price, and that's the main thing that's hurting the shareholders, right? Like just fighting the established order, just selling shares. And the thing I didn't like about him selling shares is he didn't take responsibility for it. Like I was saying earlier, he didn't take any responsibility. But yeah, I think him stepping out of Tesla in general would be very bullish for it. Kind of like Meta and stuff. You know how Meta, Mark, he wants to keep burning cash and stuff, and that's like super bearish for Meta. Same thing there. I think if Mark Zuckerberg steps off of Meta and stuff, Tesla or Meta will definitely do good. So same thing with Elon. I do want to say that we're not really too surprised with the sell-off. We knew this eventually was going to come. You guys can go back to some of the old streams. And we were basically like around this level when we started talking about a potential head and shoulders. And once we started getting double topped here, we're most likely confirming that head and shoulders. And so the reason that I'm still technically bearish, even though we've had like a strong sell-off, short term, I think we can have a short rally to like maybe 125 back, 130 possibly. I think long term, I'm still going to be bearish, especially based off of like the economy and stuff. Like some of these things I was mentioning, China demand slowing down, slower demand just in general, recession fears and stuff. So a lot of people were just gonna wait to buy cars. People aren't just flying to go get a car right now. Like just the whole automotive, like you can look up CarMax, Carvana, they have tons of cars in inventory that just aren't gonna get bought. So what makes you think that a 60 or 75K car will get bought easier, right? Especially now that gases are coming down. And I'm not saying gas and oil is done. I still think inflation is going to be around, and oil is going to be expensive still. So gases are getting suppressed, but people are basically paying the difference in the natural gas. So now that all the money that they're saving in gas, they're having to use that money to pay a higher natural gas or to keep their houses warm, basically. So there's really no offsetting in inflation, I don't think. Even though the gas prices are coming down, that also shows you kind of demand slowing down, right? But I think what's happening is people are paying less at the pump now, but they're paying more for their natural gas to keep their house, right? On natural gas, UNG, or some of these other natural gas stocks that we've talked about. So natural gas is coming up with the winter storm and stuff. The gas and oil is coming down, but that's also kind of related to demand slowing down, right? So I kind of lost my focus, but you guys get the point. You guys get the idea. So I think there's like people aren't rushing to get a car right now, especially if there's going to be fears of inflation sticking around. Demand's going to come down and they can pick up these cars way cheaper. And like I said, Carvana is a great story. CarMax, some of these other vending machine startups and stuff, they're basically having a hard time getting rid of some of their inventory. So this is the thing I wanted to point out from 2020, February 2020. I'm going to zoom in here because look, we're way above here, right? But back here, this was like pre-split. So it's pre-split, I think it was like trading at 200, 300. It went up to 900 right here, right? This was the short squeeze. the squeeze happened in like February 2020, then we had the market crash, right, because of the lockdowns and stuff. This is the squeeze, and this is at $60 because Elon has done so many stock splits and diluted the shares so much that people think, oh, it's just $100, but the market cap is what it speaks for itself, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this does have some more downside, and this is basically the 2020 prices. It's at $60, so another 40% more, I would think, long term. And just to back some of that up, basically from the head and shoulders, I'm gonna get rid of this so I can show you guys. The head and shoulders is basically, I've showed you guys, it's shoulder, head, shoulder. Then basically you can just take the distance from that to here and just mark it down. This is just an estimation here, but the price is about $30, but I'm gonna say conservatively like $60. So this is basically the head and shoulders, the neckline here, and once you break the neckline, the distance down to that. So that's my point there. So I do think there's more downside in the long term. Maybe 2023 we possibly see these prices at least 60, maybe, we'll see. Short term though, I do think we could have a short term bounce at 100 psychologically. I don't think it just flushes through the 100 support. I think this is a lot of consolidation here, and I think at this point a lot of margin calls are being triggered. So I don't know how many more margin calls are left to be triggered. So I think what happened here was margin calls, but also the big factor was Elon, right? And that's what really like 3-4x'd the downside. It like just massive sell-off. But at this point, Elon says he's done selling. So I do think the sell-off will be like slower. It won't be so aggressive. I think these will be some of the lower levels, and then we can see a bounce around these prices. So I think, you know, down the road, down maybe 2023, we can start seeing 61. We'll start with 70, but yeah, we'll start looking at gap fills and stuff. Not this week, obviously. I've missed some comments here. So yeah, Elon's damaging Tesla. Yeah, you said that. Do you think Elon should step down? Yeah, I do. What's the point of all the support lines if people keep selling? Well, this is basically like areas that it's traded at, so like previously, so it's like people basically buying and stuff. So it's just historic data. It's like this is where it's held up its price well. So when it comes down to these prices, it's supposed to hold. It was supposed to be harder for it to break. But the thing that really just killed this was Elon selling plus like possibly margin calls, and then short sellers just like stomping it, right? But historically, like, yeah, these are supposed to be supports. And I do think since Elon's like stopped selling so much, or supposedly stopped selling, I don't think we'll have these aggressive sell-offs. I mean, we've lost tons. Like, let's see. Like on the weekly, let's go to a weekly time frame. Like, this is going to be on weekly days. Each candle's a week. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks, it's lost 50%, 45%, right? And this is just the start of the week. So in 3-4 weeks, it's lost 40%. Overall, like I said, it's down a lot year to date. But I do think, like I said, this is another area of consolidation. Elon's not selling so much, so I do think the sell-off will be slower, and it will support a lot better. It will hold up a lot better, I think. Yeah, AMC and Jimmy also got crushed. All the meme stocks, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to ruin the party and stuff, but I've said Adam Aaron's a snake. You guys can go back to one of my older videos. I used to be an AMC ape. I lost money on AMC, and then I was woke. I woke up from it. The dude basically started selling at the top for his quotation retirement and stuff. So it got bad. Like, he started selling at here. He left retails with the bag. Basically what he's doing now, this is so bearish. Like, he's gonna do a reverse split, so a 10-to-1, I think. So he's basically giving short sellers another $40 to short it down, right? So reverse split 10-to-1. This is gonna be trading around $40, I think. And even though it's gonna look good as a stock price, now it's $40 that short sellers can short basically again. So me personally, I don't trust him. But yeah, I lost money on it, and then I just kind of woke up from it. And I've told people, I think we're trading at like $30. This is like on the weekly. I think we were trading around 20 or $30 around here, because I think people were asking about it. I just told them to sell and get away from it. But hopefully they sold. I think there's some consistent viewers in here that talked about it. Kahuna might be one. I don't remember. Also, Oatly, TTS. Yeah, they got crushed. Yeah, those are pretty bad stocks right now. I think this one's gonna, from the last thing I heard, yeah, we had a good consolidation phase here, and just followed by the big move. So once you like have a, this is weekly charts, by the way, but it was basically consolidating for like, this is May all the way to August, so about 2 or 3 months, and it's going to be followed by a big move. Like when you consolidate for so long, you're going to be followed by a big move, either up or down, right? But the direction's basically picked there. I wouldn't touch this one right now, just because I've heard that they might bring products with meat in them, so like basically defeats the whole purpose of their mission and what they were trying to do. So that just doesn't sit well with me, honestly. And then Oatly, I think, is another vegan one, right, with oat milk and stuff. But I'm gonna just about wrap up the one for Tesla. I think we are at strong support. I would say 90, 92 is probably the short-term bottom. I would definitely watch 100 as a psychological level. And at this point, depending on data and SPY tomorrow, we might just blow through 105 and come down straight to 100. If the data and the market holds up, then we could start forming a base around here. We might not break, but I think 100 might be the bottom. If the market's good, I think 100 might be the bottom. Then we start kind of rounding up, possibly work our way back up to some of this levels up here, which is like 130. Let's just say 130. So those are some of the areas that I'll be watching. I am like I watch this one a lot because there is a great opportunity to buy some calls, and just maybe if some news comes out that's good, this thing's gonna go crazy. So that's why I have this one on the charts, because I think there is definitely an opportunity. But just with the steep sell-offs and stuff, there's no stop in sight. I want to see a couple candles like kind of base out, round out, and then it could be a good indication maybe the bottom's in. But let me see if I missed any comments. I think that's all I have. I think we covered some pretty good stuff. So we talked about, go back to the stock, down pretty big, still down after hours. The volume's the thing to watch, right? So such a big red day, and then you see so much volume, you can just add those two things up, and you can see there's a lot of just selling pressure. A lot of short sellers. Just the average volume is 96. Today's volume is 200. Obviously, that leads me to believe there's some margin calls or something going on, right? And then we talked just in general about it being one of the worst performing stocks of 2022. Give you guys a quick rundown on some of the Twitter stuff and short selling, and not really taking any blame or responsibility and blaming it on interest rates. And then also talking a little bit of the politician and some of the survey stuff and what that was saying, and people just maybe not wanting to be associated with the current stuff going on, right? And then also the headwinds that we just got today this week was basically more related to China and NIO, so shutting down for a week and not really giving a reason for some of this reduction in production and stuff, or these plans for production. And then NIO basically put the nail in the coffin, and with their outlook, can just hit EV automaker in general, so everything got whacked. I think that about wraps up the stream. If you guys have any questions watching this one later, feel free to leave a comment, hit a like, leave a like on the video if you can. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, just to round up SPY, we have home sales tomorrow. Like I said, I'm gonna show you guys really quick. I believe we have home sales this week or tomorrow. I could just click tomorrow, but tomorrow we have it coming out here, pending home sales. So that's going to come out about 30 minutes after the market opens. So that might move the market pretty well, because we just had home sales, I think, last week, and that definitely moved the market. So this will definitely move it. And so just from the SPY perspective, huge drop, consolidation, so I do expect a move, and I think that might be the catalyst that will move the market, right? And just to show you guys consolidation, we've been consolidating here after the big drop there. So if we can hold 380 in general, I think we might go back up to fill some of the gaps up above. But if we break under 383, then we would probably come back down to the lowers, 373, 370. And this does kind of look like a bear flag. So if this is a bear flag, obviously we broke the trend, but that doesn't mean that's over. But if this is like a bear flag here, then the downside would be the distance from there to like here, right? So that would be another thing to consider there. So just let me just get an eyeball of what the drop would be. It would be something like maybe retouch the lows or something, about 350. Yeah. So that's my opinion. Those are my thoughts, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you guys found value, and if you guys can, please leave a like on the video. Hope you guys have a great evening. Shout out to Gilad for keeping the chat entertaining and asking some great questions. And yeah, I think we'll be fine. Just manage your risk. Hope you guys have a good evening. Peace.